So hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to our third session of Summer Skill Up. So can I know, are you guys excited for today's session? I can see lot of energy in lot of you. Lot of you are waiting from like some time. Like I'm really sorry for the delay. You will be very interesting. Like this session is going to be very interesting, and trust me, you guys are going to enjoy it a lot. Can I know, like, are you excited for today's session? Plus one in the chat box, everyone. I want to see energy in all of you. So let's start. First of all, thank you everyone for joining in for our third session of Summer Skill Up. If you haven't enrolled in Summer Skill Up, I would highly recommend everyone to just register it and take the best out of it, because there are very exciting things that will be covered up in the all the sessions that are organized during that time. Okay. So as you all know, we have a great guest our in our session, who is a software engineer at Microsoft, a YouTuber with 42K plus subscribers, a competitive programmer who has been an ACM ICPC regionalist, and the list goes on. So let's welcome Kushal Vijay, who will be helping you with a roadmap to go from zero to hero in mastering backend technologies. I think
Hey, hi everyone. Okay, great to be here. Really excited for today's session. The next 40 to 45 minutes are going to be very energetic and very amazing. So, first of all, just let me know if my audio and video is clear to you. I want audio, video clear in the chat box. Quickly add some comments. Okay. Let me know if the audio is clear or not. Audio and video, both of them should be clear. Then only we'll move forward. और people are writing yes. Hey, मैं जो पूछ रहा हूँ उसका जवाब दो. Noise from my end. Okay. Audio, video, audio visible. मोस्टली पीपल आर सेइंग कि सब कुछ सही चल रहा है, तो हम लोग मान लेते हैं कि सब कुछ सही ही चल रहा है. और
right.
चलो फिर शुरू करते हैं यार. क्वेश्चन
Okay,
नॉइस
so
फ्रॉम
I
योर
will
एंड.
hand over the session to you, Kushal. It's all yours.
जय, इज इट फाइन? आई मीन आपने भी कमेंट डाला है कि वॉइस नॉइस आ रही है थोड़ी सी. शुड आई टर्न ऑफ?
हाँ मतलब
ओके,
we can
लेट
do
मी
that
टर्न इट
as
ऑफ.
well.
या,
हाँ.
गिव मी अ सेकंड.
So how many of you already registered in Summer Skill Up and have already attended the previous session?
ओके फोक्स, नाउ वी वुड हैव अ वेरी क्लियर ऑडियो आई गेस, और वीडियो तो अच्छा है ही.
Yes.
तो यार बिना किसी देरी के शुरू कर देते हैं. जैसे कि मेरे बारे में जैने थोड़ा सा बता ही दिया कि मैं सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर हूँ माइक्रोसॉफ्ट में. मेरे को लगभग 2 साल नहीं, 2 साल से थोड़ा कम समय हो गया है मैं एज अ सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर काम करते हुए. मैं एंड्रॉइड डेवलपमेंट टीम में काम करता हूँ. और हम लोग एंड्रॉइड से पहले मेरा जो टेक स्टैक था, जो कि मैं 3 साल लगभग मैं बैकएंड डेवलपमेंट में मेरा बहुत इंटरेस्ट था, तो उसके ऊपर मैंने बहुत काम किया, जिसके बारे में ही मैं बहुत सारी चीजें शेयर कर रहा हूँ आप सभी से. तो कैसे आप पढ़ सकते हो, क्या क्या पढ़ना है, क्या क्या किस फ्लो में पढ़ना है, कौन सी जॉब्स के लिए अप्लाई करना है, कहाँ पे अप्लाई करना है, क्या सैलरी आपको मिल सकती है, रेज्यूमे में क्या क्या डालना है, एक एक चीज अगले 40 मिनट के अंदर मैं आपको बता रहूंगा. ओके. यहाँ पे बहुत सारे बच्चे कमेंट कर रहे हैं कि उन्हें इंग्लिश चाहिए, और बहुत सारे बच्चे. अच्छा, लेट्स डू अ पोल. व्हाट लैंग्वेज यू वांट मी टू स्पीक इन, इंग्लिश और हिंदी? वी विल वेट फॉर अ मिनट, और जितने भी वोट्स आएंगे उसके अकॉर्डिंग we'll do the session. Okay, let's vote. English or Hindi? Come on folks, come on. Till then, I'll just introduce myself. That apart from Haryanvi, okay, Ritik, I don't know really how to do a session in Haryanvi because I'm from Rajasthan. English or Spanish, I don't know Spanish. Uh, okay, I'm working in a company. Hindi, English, Hindi, English. So many English folks. I'm comfortable in both of the languages, any language. Okay, English. Okay, let's proud to be on Hindi. Let's not bring in any, uh, you know, language related barriers here. Okay, there are a lot of people who want the session to be in English, so let's keep it in English in case in case if any question. So whenever you'll ask a question, put the language also after it that you want the answer in Hindi or English, right? And then I know Marwadi, but I won't be doing the session in Marwadi at all. Okay, let's get started with English only, folks. So as I mentioned that I've worked with backend technologies previously. Apart from software engineering, I also create content on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and almost I've covered all the platforms. So if you already know me, make sure you put a comment that you already know me, right? +1 to that, or OP Kushal OP in the chat. Okay, let's move on to the first thing. So, before moving to backend development, we should focus around what is backend development and why or how it is related to a particular domain. So the umbrella to it is full stack development. So you might go to different websites. Today you are watching this particular session on youtube.com, which is also a streaming website, right? It's a full stack. It's also a website which is governed by backend, front end, and a database. Now, these are the three components of a full stack. These are three components of a full stack website. But today we'll be focusing more on the backend. But I will be covering what is front end, what is backend, and how database is actually involved in the complete full set. Let me turn off these comments. It's hindering my. Okay. Now, whenever you go to any website like Amazon.com or Flipkart.com or LinkedIn.com, whatever you see, the things with which you interact, which is visible to your eyes, you scroll up and down, you see the media, you fill the forms, fill in the blanks, whatever. Right now, you're commenting in the chat. That is what the front end part of a website is. And so what is visible to human eyes is something you can categorize as front end. Now, whenever you add a comment to the YouTube chat, it comes to the YouTube backend, it processes it and send the response back to the front end to show it in this particular card. Now, the point where it goes to the backend and comes to the front end, in the processing which happened in the backend, the logic which happened, or the processing that happened, it happens in the backend. And that part where the processing of any data happens is called the backend part. Now, in between, we have network with which the data comes to the backend and from which the data goes to the front end again. Now, there could be a possibility that if you'll come back to this particular video tomorrow, this live session will be available to you folks. Even after Geek Summer Carnival, it will be available on Geek for Geeks channel forever. And you will see that these comments will also be available there. Now, how these comments are still available even when the live session has ended? The reason for that is these comments are being saved in the database. So this is how the front end, the back end, and the databases are related. Right? So the comments are being saved in the database. The backend process that data and send it to the front end to show it to the users. Now, this is the general overview of what is a full stack website is, and how it is, how the data is being transferred from front end to the back end, and how it is saved in the database and gets back to the front end again. Okay, now let's move on to the skills, or basically what skills you need to have when it comes to front end development, or what is a tech stack which is available in order to become a front end engineer or a back end engineer. Moving ahead after that, I'm just covering the general overview because many of the students who are attending this session would would not know what front end development is, and they wouldn't be aware of what technologies they need to study, and they might get interested in that. So I'm just covering the brief of it, and then we'll be moving deeply into the backend development part. So there are a lot of technologies that you need to know if you want to get started with front end development, which is, you might have heard of a few of them already, which is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, React, Angular, and Bootstrap. Now, you might have heard about HTML and CSS a lot because these are the fundamentals of a front end website. Bootstrap is a kind of library that you can leverage to make your front end websites. jQuery is a language to jQuery or JavaScript is a language to make your front end interactive. For example, whenever you go to a website which has a login or password page and you try to write so you might have seen that you generally write a password 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, but it says you should add hashtag or a capital letter or camel case letter in your password to make it more strong. So that particular processing happens at the front end only, and that processing is being done by the JavaScript. For example, you go to Amazon's website and Amazon Prime, and you see a carousel there. The way that carousel works is the processing happens at the front end only, because if see, whenever you move that carousel, it happens very quickly at at an instantaneous speed. So that processing cannot be done by the backend because sending the request back to the backend, then getting back the response would take time. So that processing happens at the JavaScript end, at the front end only. See, so okay. So these are the skills that are required if you want to get started with front-end development: HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, React, or Angular, or Bootstrap. So these are the front-end development. Uh, okay, my PC got hanged somehow. Yeah, so these are the front-end development tech stack that you need to know. Now, the major part, which is the back-end technologies that you need to know. I will also be sharing what technologies I have worked apart from these, but we'll focus like what are the general technologies that are available in the market. Now, in order to get started with the back-end engineering, or in order to get started in order to start a journey as a backend developer, you first need to know a programming language. It is very, very important, because not all programming languages are meant to continue to build amazing, robust or scalable websites. Now, what I prefer students to learn when it comes to programming language and they want to continue their career as a backend developer is Python or JavaScript. These are the two languages which are very much popular in the market, or Java also. But I preferred Python because I have studied it in my class 11th and 12th, and I was very comfortable with it. So I started my backend journey with Python only. So programming language is one of the most important thing that you must know. You should be aware of the OOPS concept around the object oriented paradigm concept of any particular language that you're learning, whether you're studying DSA or not, whether you're learning backend. You should be aware of object oriented programming concept, because that actually makes a base of your project, or base of your development journey ahead. So programming language is done. So for example, you have learned the programming language. Now comes, you need to learn a framework. Now the frameworks can be based out of multiple languages. For example, Django is a framework which is based out of Python. Now if you already know Python, you should not go for any framework which is like Node.js, which is a JavaScript based framework. So I had a great knowledge, or I was very much comfortable with Python. So instead of learning a new language, I preferred convenience and went for Django. And Django, my friends, is a macro framework. Python has other backend framework as well, but we'll be talking about Django here, because Django is a macro framework, a battery fitted framework, which is highly scalable, highly robust. And you wouldn't imagine, there are so many websites in the world which are actually running on Django based architecture. For example, Instagram, for example, Spotify. There are there are many other websites. I don't remember the names of them right now, but you can search it on the internet. There are so many websites that are actually using Python in their backend for their or Django to develop their complete website. So the framework part is done. Now, as I mentioned, when you comment on the YouTube chat, it goes to the backend for processing, and then the backend also save it to the database. The database here is very important for any backend developer if they are not aware of how databases work, how to connect with databases, how to query databases, how to make joins to get the relevant data from the databases. They are actually lagging a lot. Databases, knowledge of databases, how databases work, what query languages need to are required to retrieve data from the databases. The CRUD operation, which is create, read, update, delete. These are the fundamentals of when you start working with databases. So the third thing is the databases. Now comes REST. Now, what is REST? REST is kind of a medium with which data is being transferred from one medium to another. So, for example, you might have seen that Make My Trip has a mobile application. Make My Trip has a web application which can be used in a mobile, in a laptop, in a smart TV, anywhere. So they have exposed a different kind of front end in different size of devices, but they are eventually showing the same data. So what do you think they would have kept? They would be calling to different servers for different devices, or they're using APIs, which is application programmable interface. Right now, what are APIs is assume APIs as a single source where which can give you data and take data from you and process it and revert back with data. So irrespective of the device that you're using, you can call the API, ask for some data or give some data to get some data. So this is the whole. It's basically an interface with which you can interact to get and fetch data, and the way with uh, the data when data is being transferred from the server to the client in JSON form, that is what REST APIs are. Yeah, exactly, that's what the REST APIs are. Now, these are the six things that we covered just now. First is the programming language that you need to know. Second is the framework, which is very important. Third is the databases, which are very important. Then comes APIs and then the REST API, REST framework. REST framework is very important when it comes to API testing. When you, as a developer, you should know the fundamentals of REST APIs, how they work, how you can build REST APIs, and so on and so forth. Okay, since we have like spoken for 10-15 minutes, I want to know if there are any questions. Okay. Sai Manoj was blocked. Please tell Barclays. Okay. People are asking questions but not relevant to the topic. We'll be covering all the questions by the end of the session. And publications are also open. So we will cover all the questions, but in the end, like in the last 10-15 minutes, we'll be covering all the questions. Let's move on to the next topic, which is okay, we have covered the framework. Now let me talk about how I actually started, how I learned backend development, because I actually love backend development a lot, but not the front end development part. Although it is very interesting, you can see the progress quickly, but what I feel is I was very much involved in logic building. So I switched to backend. I wanted to build microservices. I wanted to, I was very much interested in how the APIs work, how data is being transferred over network, and how to process it and then provide it to the front end user. This is what I was interested in. That's how I progressed. I was very much aware of Python programming language. So I started learning Django. Now, Django has a lot. It's a macro framework. There are a lot of the things in it. So the ideal way to learn Django would be, let me tell you my mistake that I did while learning Django. I went through some course, lot of background noise. Okay. I one second. I'll try to minimize the voice in the background, and by the in the meanwhile, we were talking about how to learn Django and what mistakes I did. So what I did was I went through some online course, right? I didn't understood because what I was doing is I was just completely copy pasting what the person is doing into my PC. And the problem that we don't identify at that moment is that video might have been recorded like, maybe 1 year back or 2 year back. And I am seeing that video today. There could be a difference of versions also, right? The person is using Django 2.0. I am using Django 3.0. Now that makes a lot of the difference what the person is doing. Even if you copy everything, that might not work in your PC. And that actually frustrated me a lot. So what I did, I switched to another online course, went through all the videos, and somehow I got confused between the two. Then I realized a ideal course is very important, where you know proper curriculum should be settled. Along with that, project development should be done in a proper manner. So I have realized later those courses were not appropriate for a student who is a beginner in learning backend development, and they were somehow teaching each and every important topic randomly, so it didn't help. So instead, you should always go for a course, or always go for something which is very much aligned or structured in a better way, so that you can learn from scratch or learn from beginning to the advanced level, right? So this is the mistake that I did, and I request everyone to not do that mistake. And how to actually interpret when someone is teaching. So, for example, someone is teaching about Django forms, or someone is teaching about Django signals. You can, first of all, what the person is doing, you can copy paste that thing, then test it at your PC. If it works, that's great. No, you should not move to the next topic. Instead, you should play around that particular topic. Django signals is not just something that person told you in 15 minutes video. You should play around that particular topic because it's very important. For example, if you are building a e-commerce website, you can use that Django signal to update the cart again and again. For example, user is somehow sometimes deleting the item, sometimes adding item. Now these things are happening across the website, but you are handling that scenario at one place, and that can be handled through signals. Now this is how a single topic can create a great impact. But if you will just focus on only the use case where the teacher has told you a 15-minute session on signals, and you are just you think that you're done with it. No, that's not. You have to play around that particular topic, use it in whichever way you want. You should also look for applications of that particular topic which can happen. I did that mistake during learning, during the learning stage. But when I did the internship, I was very much involved in playing around things, because I worked at a startup, and we built that complete startup from scratch in the Django framework. That startup is stackguardian.io. You can check that website. It was like a lot of the parts are being built by me only, and that website is completely built in Django. Okay. Okay, great. Now moving ahead. Once you, so I have assumed that you have learned a programming language, you have learned the Django framework. Now comes the databases part. Although Django provides you the inbuilt database of a SQL database, but you should also learn about the trending databases which are available in the market. For example, right now, how do you decide a database? First of all, Django provides you the capability to integrate different databases, but you should be aware what particular database is is the best fit for your use case. For example, you are building an e-commerce website. There is a possibility that you can use multiple databases also, but for the time being, if we assume you are building an e-commerce website, you should frame your database. You should use a SQL database for the time being, right? But when it comes to a scenario where you want the data, where the reads are more and the writes are less, you should focus on a database like NoSQL database, which works on key value pair architecture, because in a hash map you can get the item in O of one time, because you're directly fetching that data with the key value, right? Okay. Um, okay, the database part is done. Now, there is also one more thing that I want to clarify here. When it comes to databases, it's not necessary that, for example, one of you kind of separate your features in a way where you decide the priority. Okay, these many features, a, a NoSQL database would work very fine. For the other couple of features, the SQL database would work much better. So you need to identify these gaps in your system, but these can only happen, or this kind of intuition can only happen when you learn the basics properly, when you get more experience of building large scale distributed system, and where backend development is the core. And yeah, but this particular session is all about the mistake that I did, the things you need to know as a roadmap, and later on what you will be able to build. Also, one more topic I'll be covering in this session, that is how I earned money out of the backend development skill that I had. So moving on to our next topic, which is so skills part is done. Now moving on to our next topic, which is how you can be better at a particular skill, how you can be better at backend development specifically. So I was not at all interested in front end development, but I was very much interested in back end development. So how I improved it, because there are you cannot build a website without a front end, right? So how I did it. So there are so many websites available which provide you free templates. So I used to go there. I see a lot of templates available, and from there only I get the ideas also. For example, I go through the top 10 free templates available. Okay, it's about a hair salon. Let's pick it up and make a hair salon website. This is how I learned. I only focused on the back end, not the front end, because the front end is very well designed, and it is directly available to me. So I focused mostly on the back end part. And the best part about backend is you can see things how they're moving. You can see all the moving parts around, how the data is coming, how the URLs are being routed, how the data is being processed and rerouted back to the front end, and how you have to render that data is something that is involved when you build those websites, right? Only learning the backend part will not make you a full stack developer, or will not make you of any good use. There are companies who hire backend engineers, there are companies who hire front end engineers also, but obviously a person who know both of them will get paid more, will get more importance, and will have higher chances to get hired as well. So that's where I'm saying, if you are interested more in backend development, it's okay. If you want to go in that path, make sure you build websites by taking the pre-built templates and focus and build your backend completely by your own. And the point where you'll integrate both of them is something you learn a lot of the things, because that is a part which is very difficult. You're using a third party thing and then integrating your logic part with that third party thing. And this is how you actually learn, right? You have to play with what you have learned. And such kind of situations happen in the real world scenario also. Like, you might be working in a company, you're asked to integrate a third party API with your backend, and this is where you are taking the baby steps to handle such a scenario later. Okay, so projects, you have to build a lot of the projects. Now it happens with a lot of students. Even I have faced this, that during my college times I used to build a lot of projects, but then I get bored. Why I'm actually building these? I mean, okay, I can build 3 projects, then I'll add it to my resume, that's it, right? But later I realized, after 2 months, for example, if I'm building a project in January, if I have an interview in December, would I tell them that I built a project back then in January? They'll be like, what you were doing in the last 9 months and 9 or 10 months then. So that is the problem, right? So you have to keep on building projects with whichever technologies are coming. Now I'll give you one more idea right now. You might be building your website. It is very common. People build a full stack website, which is very common. But now the trending term is chat GPT. Try to focus on some ideas which can involve that technology into your website. It will add 5 stars to, or it will be like, adding cherry on top of your ice cream. So that is something you can do. Now, I was talking about the demotivation or the how it gets boring when you keep on building projects and projects. So how even I was getting bored. So what I did, I started freelancing. Now the best part about web development is it's the easiest way to get a job, and also it is the easiest way to get freelancing gigs. There are so many platforms available on the internet. There are people who say that website development thing has no future or it might get extended in the near future. These are all fake things. It will not, it is not going to extend, or it is not going to be, unpopular in the near future anyways. So make sure you go to different freelancing websites and send your proposals, but your proposal will only get accepted when you have your portfolio ready. Your portfolio should have some amazing projects, then only you will get those freelancing gigs. So even though what generally students do is they go to big platforms like freelancer.com or Upwork or TopTal. What generally you have to do is, since you are a beginner, you should go to platform where the traffic is low, where the competition is very less. And those platforms are peoplepara.com, guru.com. I chose those platform over the others because the competition was low, but uh, the projects, the number of projects was high. So I had a upper edge that I might get, even though my projects are not high standard, but I might get a project. And initially, if you want to get a project, you can show them your portfolio or ask them to do free of cost, and if they like, they can later pay you. So you have to do these things in order to get a review or in order to build a freelancing profile, and later you can charge them as much amount as you can. I did freelancing for about 2 years, and that was one of the best experiences that I had because I learned a lot during that whole process. So building projects for others give you three things. One is networking, second is money, third is practical skill development, because those projects will be used by people around the globe. Today I have built websites with which are being used in Shimla by a shopkeeper, which are used in USA by a hospital, by used by many other people, by a school as well, school teacher as well, in Egypt. So the networking part is there. I mean, I am connected to so many people around the globe, from Egypt, Israel, Turkey. All these are my freelancing clients. Right now, I am not doing after joining Microsoft, but the network part is very important that you build while doing the freelancing thing. Okay, it's already 9:40, but I'll quickly cover the resume part as well and then the salaries part as well. So when it comes to resume, what you have to mention, what generally students miss, and how they have to frame their resume when it comes to LinkedIn or their actual resume or the CV that they are going to apply, submit while applying to opportunities, is skills, experience, skills, experience, projects. These are the most crucial parts when it comes when you apply for a job as a backend developer. And the way you have to write your projects and experience is like this. You have to mention your experiences or the projects in three points. First is the learnings you had while building that project. Second, the achievement that you had while building that project. And the problem, third thing, is the problem that you solved while building that project. Now I'll give you an instance from my experience. I built a website for a hospital. So the learning that I scaled that website to for a all the hospitals that are available, for example 10, 20. So that is the learning that I had, that I scaled that website. And I also consumed NoSQL database into that, so which is also a learning for me, that I consumed a NoSQL type of database into my architecture. Second achievement, what is the achievement you had? I'm creating a lot of impact because that particular website is being used by a hospital. Secondly, it might be that hospital might be intaking a lot of patients, so you can add a number to it that hundreds of patients are being data of hundreds of patients are being added to that website and is being consumed by multiple hospitals. That is the achievement that you have, and the problem that you solve. You already know that you are solving a great purpose by giving that website to so many hospitals, and they're utilizing to improve their productivity, which is actually a contribution to the mankind as well. So this is how you have to write the experiences or the projects. Three things: learnings, achievements, and problem that you solved while doing that. Okay, last topic, which is the salary expectation. Now, this is the most crucial part. Whatever you're doing today, whatever you're learning today, whatever skill, even you're watching all the sessions of Geek Summer Carnival, you have a thing in the back at the back of your head that I'll be learning something, and that learning will help me grow, and later on will somehow indirectly help me to grab a great job. Now I'll tell you the reality. When it comes to front end engineer, for a fresher role, you on an average in India you can get a salary of 7 to 12 lakhs per annum. But if you're an experienced front end engineer, you might get a salary up to 20 to 30 lakhs per annum. Now, this is a base salary that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the stock options or the bonus part to it, or anything. This is a base salary that you'll be getting as a front end engineer. Now, when it comes to back-end engineering, for a fresher role, when you apply to a company, you can get a salary up to 10 to 20 lakhs per annum as a base salary. An experienced candidate can get up to 25 to 40 lakhs per annum in India as a back-end engineer. So in a product-based company, you might be hired as a software engineer, but you can get a back-end engineering work or a front-end engineering work or a full-stack development work. Software engineering is a very generic term which can get back-end, front-end, or full-stack development work as well. But when it comes to service-based companies, even in service-based companies, a lot of the people who join those companies get to work upon front-end technologies or back-end technologies. But how? So there are a lot of banks in the world, like HDFC, ICI in India. There are a lot of banks. They do have websites, right? They have softwares, desktop application. These are the things which are built by service-based companies only. These banks do not build these things on their own. They outsource this work to service-based companies, and this work is done by those employees which are hired by these companies. So you might be developing a website, you might be a web developer, a backend developer in that particular service-based company, but you will not be treated as a backend developer or front. You will not get the title in that company, irrespective of the fact that you are actually working as a backend developer there or a front end developer there. Okay, it's been quite a lot. It's already 9:45, and I feel I should take questions now because there are a lot in the chat. I would request everyone to please write down all your questions that you have, and if I miss anything, if you still feel that some points can also be covered, please point them out in the comment section right now. Okay, I'm waiting for your questions. Let me cover the questions which are already there. Can we integrate, or let me put those questions in the, okay, I cannot do that. Maybe Jay, you can put some questions on
Yes,
the
like yeah, I'll pin them
screen.
up
Yeah,
in the
I
screen.
can cover them so the other can also see what questions we are
Okay,
talking
so
about.
there's a question from Chaitanya. He's
Yeah.
saying, what is required for Java backend?
So see, although I have not done Java backend in Java, but what I have known or what I've heard from people is Spring Boot is very necessary when it comes to
Yes.
backend development in Java. Then you need to know, I guess. Obviously, programming languages Java, the framework could be Spring Boot. The databases remains common with a SQL or NoSQL, and REST is a framework which is common across the board, and obviously APIs. So I guess Spring Boot is the one that you need to be aware of when it comes to Java backend development.
Okay, so let's see one more question. So like there's a question, how much of coding is required, how to practice. Okay, so there's a
I'm
question. This one.
How much coding?
Uh,
This
so
coding
he
part.
says like
Sure.
how much of coding is required and how to practice coding apart from theory.
So,
Yeah.
see, when it comes to website development, why are you even focusing on theory? Definitely, concepts are required, but I feel concepts can be learned or cleared while building those things.
Yes.
Development can only be learned practically. Don't focus on theory, because reading how a website is built through a book is completely waste of time. Instead, if you are learning in a way of building a project, you learn more when you build a project to learn a skill. So build a project while learning and you learn more any when it comes to any particular skill.
Exactly. Uh, so there's one more question from Dhruv. He says Monstack versus React plus Django.
Okay, that's a very good question actually. So when it comes to StackGuardian.io, where we built the complete platform, it was built with Django backend and React frontend. React is a very famous framework, frontend framework, which is very popular, but which is similar in Mon also. But the difference is the Node.js part. Now there is a huge argument already there in the market whether you choose Node.js or Django. So the simple answer to this is there are so many websites which are built in Django already. Startups do follow Node.js. If you if you want to compare it with the number of jobs, you can go to LinkedIn Jobs and check the number of jobs for a particular skill. That is a one way you can compare which way you have to go. Second is convenience. I chose Django because I already knew Python. If you
Hmm.
already know JavaScript, why you should learn Python to learn Django, right? Choose
Yes.
convenience. It will save your time and effort. So this is how you should follow.
So there's one more question from Anshul. He says, "What should I do first, React or Node.js?"
You have to do both if you want to build a full stack website. If you're only focusing on backend, you can go ahead with Node.js. If you're only focusing on single page applications with which doesn't have backend processing involved, then you can go for React only.
So one more question. What type of projects we made as a fresher to add in resume?
Sure. So as a fresher, there are so many examples available on the internet. You can make a e-commerce website, you can make a library management system, but these are all they are not at all intrigue the interviewer today. The interviewers don't even take interest when they see, okay, a library management system, we have already seen thousands of them. E-commerce website, you have seen already seen thousands of them. What additional you can do? So what I've seen is, I've after so many podcasts that I've done on my channel, what students interestingly do is they go to different websites,
Yes.
they kind of clone them and add a new feature to it. So what they feel is actually required. So for example, you go to shadi.com or you go to zomato.com and you feel, okay, if I'll add a chat GPT here somehow, or if I add something else here, it can make wonders. I mean, this is all about your creativity that you can add to your project. Even a very simple calculator project, right, can can outwork a huge project if it has that creativity involved, or if it has that user cases involved. So, and if you actually just want the ideas, I've already made a video on 10 website development project ideas, intermediate to advanced. Make sure you watch that video on the YouTube.
And like we can also do something like that. We can merge our BFS DFS algorithm, graph algorithm with React, and
Yes,
that would be a great combination to show as a
exactly.
fresher.
Yeah. Now, for example, I'll give you one more example. If you folks might already know Striver, right? Striver
Yes.
Raj Vikramaditya. What he has built a take you forward website. It's a simple website where you find YouTube tutorials, articles, simple website, right? But if he'll put that website on his resume, the number of active users on the website will create the impact. Simple project, impact is more. That
Mm.
makes the interviewer, more fascinated about the about the project and resume. Yeah. I guess we can. There are a lot of questions. We have already taken a few. Jay, you also want to cover a few things. So we have 15 minutes remaining. I'll give you the last 10 minutes. Let's take five questions,
Okay.
5 minutes
So
for questions. Yeah.
uh, okay, so I just got one more interesting question. Okay, so he says, it's from Deepayan. He says, I know only Java. Should I go for backend dev with Java or should I learn Python and Django?
I hope
So I
this
think,
question is
yeah,
clear by now. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty clear. Obviously, Kushal already explained that if you already know, then don't take the long way. Take the shorter one,
Yes.
which gives you the best
Exactly.
knowledge. Yeah.
Right.
There's a big question from RJ. He
Can
says,
we
can we
take?
integrate two backend, Django and Express on Spring for same web application? How will we achieve it? And is it an efficient
Okay.
way?
So, so see, you're talking in a microservices way now. So, for example, you have two servers, you have one front end. Your request, so assume it like you have a restaurant. Restaurant has a one microservice of burgers, one microservice of pizza making. Now, if a customer come from the front end and asks for burgers, you will redirect that request to your burger microservice. And if the customer asks for pizza, you redirect that request to your pizza microservice. These two microservices are completely unrelated to each other. The server one can run on Django, the server two can run on, can process the data in a Java backend. So it completely depends. Now, is it efficient? Doesn't matter. It totally depends on the number of customers coming for burgers or number of customers coming for pizza. It's more like you are kind of comparing two frameworks, which is better. So how you should compare two frameworks is what is the community amount, what is the community support available. Is it open sourced? Because then the community support is huge. So Django is open source framework which has a huge community support. Second is it popular? I mean, many how what is the demand of that particular? You can check it by LinkedIn jobs, as I already mentioned. Third is how easy it is to learn and build. These are three factors you can consider.
Okay, so uh, Anjani says, from where can I start learning backend?
We talked a lot about it. Start with the programming language, then the framework, then the databases, then the APIs, REST APIs.
Okay, so tell
So
me more.
someone has Django or Flask. So there are, it depends upon your use case. Flask is more about single page web applications. It's a micro framework, but when you want to scale it, want to make robust applications, you should always go for Django.
Okay, so there's one more question. Tell me more about Native and in terms of demand.
See, I have no experience to be honest with React Native, but in terms of demand, it's in demand. People are crazy about React Native. There is a huge demand in freelancing world. There is a huge demand in corporate world as well. So if you're learning it, it's fine. You're going the right track direction. Yeah.
Okay, so Yaman Gupta says course of it. I think he's asking for some backend course, I guess.
So there are a
Sorry
lot of
about that.
courses available, and I guess Jay know a bit more about the course which is recently being released by Geek for Geeks also, which is a live course, and you'll build projects from scratch, from beginner to advanced level. You'll learn everything. So Jay can share more about it.
Yes, I'll be sharing exciting uh, information regarding the current carnival going on at Geeks for Gigs. So stay tuned at the end. I'll be sharing all that after taking the doubts, right? So someone
Jay, you
says,
can, yeah.
do we need a DSA for front-end developer in product-based companies?
See, even if you'll go for a front end job, they'll ask you DSA in the interview. So DSA, though, you have to do anyways. You cannot skip DSA.
Okay, I had an interesting comment over here in the beginning. Vikash, he said that I'm working in a company having 1.5 years, but didn't get any work, and most of time I just I'm sitting over there and like
Utilize that time to learn something, learn DSA and
yes.
build projects and go to another company. Leave
By
that
by now
company
I
as soon
think
as possible. Yeah.
yes. By now I think he'll be passionate about learning something new after this session. Yeah. So you can go as the Kushal mentioned. You can follow the path, the roadmap if you are interested in backend
So
development.
Suraj is asking for LinkedIn profile. So anyone who wants to connect with me, they can search Kushal Vijay on the internet and you'll find all my handles. Google the name and you'll find it. Yeah.
Okay. So one more question, and I think Ali Raza he says I'm working as in network support and I want to start programming. From where can I start? So the
Just
same kind of question I think.
yeah, I mean, if you want to learn programming, what is the core of programming? Programming language. Start with learning a programming language. Thanks, Yaman.
Okay, so
Okay, one second. So, why RJ is saying that you have heard that open source projects are not? If open source app, there's a whole lot of program that Google conducts every year just to
yeah,
get some great ideas from different organizations. See, open source is not secure is a myth. It's a very wrong perception that you have, and you should Django is something which is used by companies which are of billions of dollars of which generate billions of dollars revenue every year, and Instagram is an uh, real world example. You might be using it right now only. Okay, I guess we have taken a lot of questions. Let's kind of close this session with Jay's. Yeah,
okay, so it was great having you. It was good to know all of your knowledge and your experience. Like I think that is going to help everyone in this session, and it was really informative. And we really enjoyed this session. Thank you for joining us, Kushal.
thank you.
Okay, so I'll be like sharing some goodies, like some exciting things in today's session, like what is currently going on, which event is currently going on at Geeks for Geeks. So, first of all, this session is a part of summer skill up sessions. So, let me share a screen and you will be able to understand and observe properly. So, is my screen visible? Okay, so I think it's visible. So this is summer skill up sessions. So what is this session? First of all, if you go to all courses, if you aren't able to access, go to all courses, and over here you will be able to observe summer skill up sessions. So over there, this is an entire course which is free of cost. All of you can enroll it without zero cost, and you can take the advantage of all the sessions which are going to be conducted over here during this period. Okay, though industry experts and the mentors who have been working in the industry and have real world experience, they will be sharing their experiences through session, and you will be interacting with all of them, right? So if you go after registering, there would be a basic introduction about you, your phone number and all, like something, and then you will be able to enroll the course, and you will be seeing different chapters, problems, articles available over here. And if you want to see pre-recorded, like if you have missed a session, you can observe over here. There would be recordings available over here, and you can attend this session although if you have missed the session. And one more exciting thing which I'm going to share is that after registering, you can also, after like you can register over this as well. So what is this? This is a coupon. This coupon is like you can purchase a course that is worth of 11,000 by simply paying 7,500 for this course. It is just a ticket to purchase a higher amount of course, and you will be able to purchase this Java backend development course. Over here we had a session on backend, and many of you might be inspired by what Kushal said and all his experience he has been going through. So you can explore the Java backend development live course. It would be a live course. Python backend development, all of you who are interested in Django programming with Python, you can enroll this course as well. And many more courses are there. Similar to this, there is one more ticket available that would be of 4,000, and you will be able to purchase a course that worth about 6,000, right? And these are the courses in which you can take the enrollment. Okay, so complete interview preparation and all of them. So any doubt from the audience, I would like to know regarding anything. Okay, so I guess we'll end the session here only. Okay, and I would highly recommend everyone to uh, just let me unshare my screen. So I would highly recommend everyone to take the best out of summer skill up sessions. Do register it, and you will be a completely skillful person after the sessions. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.